accurate because it's not a reality show. You have banks of cameras and you have streaming floodlights, and therefore your reality itself gets altered. So it's a kind of a hyper-reality that you put people into. And participants then have to decide, depending on the format of the show, what kind of version of reality that they would like to present for themselves. Now, reality shows are of different types. You have your talent searches, you have your game shows, you have your documentary-style shows, and you have a big boss kind of a show. So then a participant to any of these shows decides what is it that I'm here for, what is the object and intent of the show, and what am I supposed to present on the show. So if it's a Dance India dance, it's pretty clear you're there to showcase a skill. If it's something like Big Boss, then, well, we know that you're expected to stand out to survive, and to stand out, you require a storyline, and to be an integral part of that storyline, you need to do more than just be good. So I think, the versions of reality shows that themselves are varied and diverse, and a participant in one of those shows needs to figure out what is the object and intent of the show. I mean, this is a really poor example, but if you can animate a knife and ask a knife to be part of a reality show, and the knife had to be a participant in MasterChef, it would show how well it was good at cutting vegetables. But if you ask the same knife to participate in a Big Boss, to be part of the Big Boss house, it would begin by cutting vegetables and end up by stabbing itself or someone else. So it's just a way of explaining what, how you use yourself as an instrument. Do I think it will grow? Yes, I think it will grow, because we do live in a world where we are constantly under surveillance, and we're used to seeing ourselves on cameras and being frisked and all of that. So it's a part of the world that we now live in, and it's a part of the world that young people are now being born into. So it is something that they relate to and they accept. So I think it helps people to achieve their dreams in a very real way. It has it has fathered many godfathers and fathered many godchildren. So you needn't have to go to a particular godfather. You needn't. You ought not to look good or have all those requisite attributes. Yes. You can get ahead purely by having a dream.
Sure.
I think, Anil, here I'd like to just add why the figures go down. So many clones come up of the same talent hunt. It has on every channel a different format, a different permutation of the same thing, basically. But also along with it comes so many good shows. Like I remember seeing, say, Jai Jawan. It's a reality show, but people like the Jawans of India would never ever get a chance to be expressing what their hardships are or what their family goes through. And utilizing a celebrity to do that, I think, has made the nation maybe more sensitive about it. And I think reality shows in India, we started by Antakshari many years ago. That was also, that in India we have that. So there's so many, now it's become all take on foreign shows. But originally we had, Samp CD, I remember many years ago, was a reality show. And that itself, it was innovative, it was different, it had a different kind of a feel to it. And today we just pick up an international show, buy the rights, and we replicate it, ad verbatim almost.
Yeah, we were actually supposed to have Deepak Dhar of Endemol here today, and unfortunately couldn't be with us, but we'd have had a good set of questions for him since he's in the thick of the format business. But maybe you can give us an insight into one of those questions, which is when foreign formats are brought to India and sold here, are they kind of sugar-coated for the Indian audience? Are they watered down in some way for Indian sensibilities?
Absolutely. If you watch Celebrity Big Brother in Europe, it's got fornication, they catch them, online streams have sexual acts online. They're very bold in Europe. In India, they're really tamed and toned down because Big Brother's watching here, not Big Brother, some Big Brother's watching it.
Right.
We had a show by Martin Sam on TV last year, Praktika and Sam, which was supposed to go, they postponed towards midnight hour. It was, and similarly, Big Boss was totally toned down as the Big Brother. So there is a Big Brother which is watching here, and we have to be, so we are toned down, yes, we are.
Saira, what is the real fascination of these shows? I mean, are we a voyeuristic society?
Yes, I think we're all voyeuristic as human beings. I mean, I think that's the way we're wired. But yeah, definitely entertainment forms the base of all shows, not just reality shows. But in the case of reality shows, sometimes education can be a byproduct. Sometimes, wherein you get to know of people and their talents from different parts of a country as diverse as ours. Sometimes education is not, but then that's simply the way a show is structured. And I think we have to be real and say that, well, that's the way it goes.
You know, I've got to share with you, I was part of a reality show in Italy. It was called Celebrity Survivor. And we were sent onto a desert island, and it started by us having to jump from a helicopter into the sea and swim to the shore. And there was no food, and the whole idea was to make people as mad as possible by food deprivation so they'd fight and create great TV. Anyway, a long story short, what I found was that it really gave me an enormous insight into human nature as to what people are willing to do in order to win. They will do anything to win. And if somebody tells them, do this, do that, you'll have a chance of eliminating so and so, they'll do it. The morality of things changes in that isolated atmosphere. I'm sure even in Big Boss when you were there.
That's exactly what I also realized, that when you live in close proximity, you realize it's an education actually. For me, I learned so much being in that Big Boss house. I thought I knew what people were all about. And then you see a whole new side of people, how they behave, as you said, either in the desperation to win or in how they behave under pressure. You know, people are so different, and winning is becoming such a big streak. And I guess the stakes are so high, the prize money is big, and the whole adoration they get on television. But I think also most of the shows, when the people say it's all fair, sometimes it's so situational. You know, somebody who may be extremely talented on that particular day just doesn't do well. And sometimes I think television becomes very cruel also. The judges are told to probably put down people. You can't keep saying nice things. So sometimes there's so much nastiness. We've heard about incidents of kids having really had a bad psychological trauma, falling ill, attempting suicide and such things after the humiliation they've faced on national television. These are all the things which is a reality of the reality shows also.
Of course.
Well, the process of getting used to the cameras, the first few days, I would say the couple of first weeks, you are conscious of it because, they are literally there everywhere in your face. But after a while, as we said, human beings adapt to anything. And we adapted to the cameras, and we adapted to them being there at all time. But also, I would say that I remember they used to have, I don't know which show that was, Kabir, I think maybe it was Survivor's international show where they used to have people eating insects and worms and all that.
Get me out of this jungle.
Yeah, my kids used to watch that, and I
show.
used to say, how can you? It's so sick. And people used to be gleefully chewing at that, and even watching that used to be nauseating to a lot of us. And
Right.
soon I saw that show came to India too, and we were doing the same thing here.
Right.
Fear factor, yes. So I think these are various things which we start accepting. Normally, I think our human mind is so adaptable. We accept so many things. Something many years ago which wasn't at all acceptable to our society, to our families. Today, suddenly we are accepting that. So it's all about what is fed to people and how they start accepting it.
Please.
In the US, participants of Bachelorette become stars. Not so in India. Her magazine has not made these, these participants as stars. But in the US, you take part in a reality show, they follow you, the paparazzi is after you, and they're trying to get into their inner lives, trying to see what they bring. So people on reality shows in America become big stars.
Well, absolutely. I mean, following on from that observation, I want to talk to Saira and say, one of the big allures of being on these shows is that not only that you win, but that you become famous, and that fame is perpetuated through all media, and that fame in turn leads to recognition, contracts, economic security, whatever. Do you see that happening here? Is that something that you set out to do with reality show contestants?
Not in people, because I think the newspapers tend to do a great job of following up. Yes. No, also, in our case, in the case, I think the one of the parameters for any story that gets into people, and I speak only for People India now, is that, you audition a story. Every story is auditioned. Actually, every story is auditioned. And if it makes the cut, it gets into the magazine. So a reality show winner may not have a great story to tell. Because finally, I am in the business of telling stories. And if your story ends with a reality show, then I don't think I need to inflict you upon my reader. But if there's a story after the show is over, and that story is interesting, and there is something to learn from that story, or entertain, I would definitely bring it to my reader. So, for example, somebody like the Shillong choir, that is quite a story. Now, that's a story that we would follow, simply because of where they've started, what their achievements are, and how they lead their lives. Or Amit Sard, for example, who's now going to have a film release, Kai Poche. I mean, he had a public meltdown on national TV, and then he just disappeared, and he comes back. And, it's interesting to see what happened to this life. So, yes, I would definitely write about him.
So, human interest stories you would pick up?
I would, if there is interest and it's human enough.
If there's interest and if it's...
Yes. No. Absolutely, absolutely. Not a story for the sake of a story. The story has to audition to get into the magazine.
Anil, what is going to happen with reality shows here? Are they going to become stronger, more popular, more dominant? Because also don't forget, now we have the entire new media parameters, where people have got able to see these things on YouTube, they're able to talk about it on Facebook, tweet about it on Twitter, Vimeo, all kinds of expressions of that, which is a kind of multiplier effect. So do you see reality shows gaining from that?
I definitely see, actually all of television is gaining from the emergence of social media, emergence of platforms such as YouTube. Definitely television is gaining because it allows you to tune into the show when you want to watch it, rather than, like my daughter, she's an actor herself, but she used to watch Big Boss on a handphone. So, and then she used to, she's interested in watching Big Boss, so she used to comment on the colors of the page. So it allows for an interactive experience as well as the audience is concerned. Yes, it does enhance the experience because you can impact stories, other stories which can't be shown on television. You can show it on YouTube, you can put it up, you can stream it on Facebook. So it does definitely help, to a certain extent. And the difference is India has a limited number of, how many billion internet users do we have? About 150 billion internet users, or a population of about a billion plus. It's a small audience.
No, but it's also the whole population of England and Italy put together.
But a small part of that will be, getting on shows like this. Probably about around 45-50% of the smartphones are about 50 million in India. Most of the others are feature phones, basic feature phones, and let's say another 425 million feature phones. There's a lot of duplication of SIM cards, so that's why you have a large number of 925 million. So it's an audience which is growing, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to be using the new media to connect with the shows and the broadcasters and the producers are going to use these media.
Of course.
Content, you can have clips of that which we can and there's a revenue stream coming from this. If we have a YouTube channel, we make money on it. I think they share revenue 60, 40%, 45, 40%. So that's another revenue stream
not just going to be a platform for traditional media to expand its reach. It's also a dynamic platform which not only is throwing up content of its own. I mean, we talked about how many hours of video is loaded up to YouTube every minute. Some say 48 hours, some say 72 hours. But all this is happening. But more than that, I mean, YouTube itself has television channels. You could start a television channel tomorrow on there. So there's that kind of democratization of even the television medium happening through social media, which is going to have enormous implications. Also, people say like Netflix. Netflix is a company in America which basically you can download, stream live films anytime you want to see anything you want. And they have actually shifted the paradigm. They've said, we're going to make like a TV series. It'll be there, you can watch it all continuously, you don't have to wait for the next episode. So they're not just platforms that transmit the old media, they're actually becoming dynamic forces unto themselves, and that could be a threat to traditional media.
I don't see that being a threat really, because as I said, the numbers are speaking for themselves. A lot more people watch television today than are watching stuff online. So it's going to grow as we go along, as data costs reduce. Because if you go to see even 8 Mbps line, basically about 5 or 8 Mbps cost you about say $3,000, and you have a limit of 175 GB of download or streaming or consumption of your bandwidth. That is expensive, really expensive. We see that going on further as costs for data go down. Because when you're watching a film, you're consuming data. Basically, you're consuming whatever file that goes on. So as those costs go down, then people, it won't matter where you're watching it, whether you're watching it on TV, or whether you're watching it on your tablet, or whether you're watching it on your phone. The medium will be, the tool that you're watching it will be, it won't matter as we go down.
You know, the means of delivery changes the experience. Something that you see on a full screen, 70 mm, etc., and you sit back and say, wow, that gets diminished on a smaller screen, gets diminished even further on a TV screen, and now you have the tablets and smartphones. How do you see, since we're talking about reality TV in particular, and TV in general, as benefiting from the smaller screen, or?
Television will cut different parts of the same show and put it on a mobile, and it becomes a revenue stream for them. Because of the fact that they can make money out of it. And possibly some producers could be creating content, especially for, and they invented as well, they're young. There'll be a new breed of people coming in who when I started IndianTelevision.com, I didn't have money. But the web allowed me to create a group which is today running into a few $1 million in terms of turnover. So, another breed of producers will come in who will produce specially for the web, and that's happening in America, that's happening in Europe, that's happening in Asia, in other parts of Asia. I'm sure in India you would have enterprise producers who do that, who create content especially for the web. I think Abhigyan Jha attempted something. He was on the panel earlier. I don't know how well that did, he probably can tell you. He moved on to traditional television. Whereas you have experienced producers like Mark Burnett who produce traditional TV who are getting on to Mark Burnett owns I think the People Choice Award. That's the franchise he owns. And he licensed that to India. He went on to creating a platform which was integrating media, which is online media, the mobile phone, and television.
Right.
Actually, Poonam says we are deviating from the topic. Let's focus on, she also wants to have a say. Ask her a question.
Tell me, Poonam.
I think the audience wants to hear about not the technicalities of filmmaking and media.
Yeah, let me ask you, Saira, if somebody came to you and said, look, we are thinking of doing a reality show on how a magazine is produced in India, and we want to put you guys under the microscope and put cameras all around your office and film you guys doing this reality show, what would be your reaction?
No.
But my question is, why not? You're in the business of media. If 100, 200, 300, 400 million people see People magazine, how it's put together, all the fights that happen, if it humanizes you, if television does to you what you do to people in terms of presenting them, in their situations, would that be a bad thing?
I think we're there to produce a magazine and not be part of a show.
Right.
So I think that's the first reason why I would say no. This would just get in the way. I think the first few weeks people would just be very conscious about the cameras and not about the work they're supposed to be doing. The second thing is, I think the presence of cameras does change your response to situations. And it really alters you as a person and tends to alter the way you see reality. And that would be one reason why I would say no. I mean, either you're part of the show, but don't let it intrude into your reality, because that's not tenable at all.
I think reality shows are not really reality. They are within a structured form. They are given a format, how they have to be presented. So it's not like real life reality. It is always given a structure, it's given a format, it's given a, the people who are there watching you. So
but as you said,
what you said, if a magazine had to function normally with cameras watching, it wouldn't be the same thing which would happen, right?
But
The serial which was coming on Channel B, they filmed in our office for a couple of episodes. Finally, we didn't go ahead with it because I think one of my journalists wrote something against us. So that deal fell through. But we were, the Telechakra was part of a reality show. We allowed the cameras to come in, but again, they were non-interested. That's that I agree with.
No, I think, Kabir, one thing we should recognize in reality shows is, Indians especially, I think we are very emotional. We get very attached to each of the person, whether it's in a talent hunt, or it is in a children's show, or it is in Big Boss kind of a show. We all get very emotionally attached to our contestants, and that's where the hook is. Everybody starts vying for their own favorite, and they give their reasons for it. They kind of condone his bad behavior by giving reasons for it. They say, no, he behaved because this one did it, like that. So I think in India, we are much more reactive to reality shows because we are very kind of emotional about it. But having said that, I think some of the youth shows which I've not watched very regularly, but like that emotional atyachar, then there was even roadies to that extent, and I don't even know the name of some of the shows which the teenagers, my kids who are teenagers, were watching. But as a parent, I didn't think that was something very nice they were watching, because it was No, but emotional atyachar, I think the mindset, the reaction it has on the people is that you can't trust anybody. That is the constant reality of youth has become. Every person is a cheater. Every person given a chance is going to stab me in the back, and they all have dubious intentions, and
you're saying this is real young people in real situations.
People. Yeah, but then nobody knows that, right? They have to either give a disclaimer saying that these are scripted shows and we are giving you a semi-reality of things which happen, but this is not real reality. Because, we are also catering to very impressionable people there who really think life, they are forming their personalities, they are forming their values, they are deciding what relationships are all about. And we are giving them this very insecure feeling that everybody is mean and nasty, and the moment I trust somebody, that person, if we actually were to spy on them, and today in times of internet and BBMs and SMS and email and Facebook, you can actually be following and spying on the person in your life in different formats. And that becomes a psychologically very strong impact, especially on the youth, I think. So I feel that these kind of shows do have a very, very strong impact on the people.
Mr. Bedi, I have a question for you.
Tell me.
Did you encounter an aspect of your personality while you were on Survivor that you didn't know existed in you? Did you confront a side of you? Or perhaps you knew it existed, but it came to the fore because you were on a reality show? Did that happen to you?
Yes, I actually was a very strange contestant for them. Even though at the end of the day I came second, I made it through for 12 weeks on the celebrity thing. But I was in a sense very bad television, because unlike the others that were jumping around vying for attention, I took the Gandhian path. I imagined myself on hunger strike, since the fight was about food, and I thought, I'm going to be on hunger strike. Anything I get is a bonus. And then they'd have these contests where if they allowed you to win, you got some food. If you didn't get food, you got in a bad mood, etc. But I must say that what what made me question things was that I intrinsically have a very trusting nature. And that trust I found was betrayed on 2, 3 very significant occasions. And I said to myself, perhaps this is a lesson for life, that I should be less trusting in life and not set myself up for betrayal. So that certainly happened with me on Celebrity Survivor. But, and the thing was that unlike a lot of other things, like, you know, you're on a film set, you make friends, you move on, or you have a fight, you move on, and you come back with friends. I found that the equations that changed by the end of that reality show remained changed. People didn't suddenly kiss and make up at the end. They had spent enough time with each other for those feelings that they felt towards each other to be felt as real and not something transitory or passing. And that was also very interesting for me to see. But really speaking, I find that the reality show appeals at different age groups to different people. And of course, there's various types of reality shows, everything from, you know, KBC is a reality show, if you think about it, Big Boss is a reality show. My question is, and this is a question to you, Saira, because you run an Indian magazine, but with an American parent. There's a show like The Kardashians, for instance. Why hasn't The Kardashians come to India? And if it did come to India, do you think it would be popular?
They have a show called Khan Sisters, which is formatted on the same.
Oh, on your TV, I wasn't aware of that.
Nigar and Gohar.
But, well, I right. We just need a good
We have a lot of
point.
hippie women in India. We can get a lot of them. Lot of them with nice ample bottoms in India. We should get them.
Okay. We've had a great discussion. I suddenly looked at my watch and it's time up, but I'm going to allow a few questions from the audience in case you've got any questions to ask about reality shows that happen, reality shows that you like, object to, things that thrill you, offend you, whatever. Can you put the lights on, please, so we can see the audience? Sorry.
I think it's a documented approach towards a documented approach. It's fictionalized, documented approach. I wouldn't think that reality shows whatever.
Ma'am.
Create a format on this, get onto the Web TV site, you have a deadline of another week, pitch the format at Web TV you can. If you win,
I have a very short question for it.
just create a format.
Where do you put this thing up, just for everyone's?
Web World site, go up there, you feel the original format that you have.
It's called MIP World site.
Webworld.com, which is the company I represent. Anyway,
Right.
There's a competition they have, there are web formats pitch. Any web formats pitch, anybody can take part. If you win, you get a cash prize and maybe you get a producer internationally. You never know.
Right.
It costs $100 to win. $100.
Hi.
Okay.
My
Then
question
over
for
there.
Anil. Hi, Anil. Yeah.
Can't see you. Can you put the lights on? कोई light on कर सकते हैं? On.
Okay, my question for Anil. Can you just throw a little bit of light on the business model for, say, KBC, Big Boss, in revenue terms? Is it a viable proposition or so to speak of?
There are lots of ways. In certain cases, we have factored Akshay Kumar cost a lot of money to host it in the first game. But they're loss leaders for certain marketing parlance. That means they help create audiences for the channel. KBC, I believe, is profitable. The highest cost is the celebrity cost. I don't know how much Poonam got with Big Boss, but should it be largely for Big Boss, along with the other big stars. Then there is the production cost, which is there. Because there's so many cameras, the set, there's the cost of the advertising is for everything. So it's an ad-driven model. The broadcaster owns the rights. He sells the kind of sponsorship. And a lot of them, I would say, some of the big boys and some others lose money, but they try audiences for the channel.
Okay, one last question because... Sorry. Yeah, the vote of confidence for you.
Urvashi. Well, thank you firstly for... Thank you. No, I was asked that question again and again when I came out, and because I'm not a person who watches too much TV, I had no idea about what to expect and how to, so to say, manipulate this whole medium called television and voting and all that. I went in unprepared, which was my fault, I would say, because if you go to any battle, you should get prepared and take all your azars, which I didn't. I didn't know. I thought it was to be what I am, and that is what I was through the show. But I realized that what you do in the show is only half the battle. What is happening outside the show, which is with the support of your maybe family or friends or the television connections, so I don't know how it works. So, but there is a lot of reality shows I think are manipulated, not in front of the camera, but behind. I was told later that they are people and there are institutions which can buy you votes. If you pay that much, you can get that many lakh votes. Because my experience after coming out, my curiosity made me realize that however much you may like a contestant, you're going to vote once for him. Most of us like somebody, we never vote. I don't know in this room, tell me how many of you really vote. I just want to know, anybody who voted, put your hand up. Okay, one person, two people. And if you did, okay, 4 or 5 people in this whole room have voted in a reality show, which are all supposed to be based. And that's what the second question was. Good. When you did vote, did you all vote once, twice? Or did you sit down and 100 times press the button and keep voting? It doesn't happen like that. So it is manipulated at the end of it, and which is what actually Vindu also told me. He says, you know, your friends and fans are going to sit and press the phone 100 times. I said, I don't think so. All my friends are doing their own work. Even my kids don't have that kind of time or the money to buy SIM cards. I was out, I couldn't contact anybody. I had put off my phone. My friends didn't even know that because confidentiality was one of the clauses of the show. I hadn't even told anybody I was going into the show. So I couldn't even tell people that vote for me later. So ultimately it is your out structure, how you manipulate, and even Bakhtiyar told me later, okay, Poonam ji, humne to 3-4 shows kiye hue, we know how these things get manipulated. And I didn't know it. So obviously this was a learning experience for me. Today I know that these things do happen. They do get manipulated outside. Well, I think because of that they have limited it, but I think it's still 100 or it's still 10 or I don't know how many it is now. But during Bigg Boss time, I believe it was 100 SMSs per...
But that was...
Yeah, but you know, those were done through computers today. There's so many ways to break that kind of a thing. But also, I must tell you, when we came out, my brother-in-law asked before I came out, he asked the people who were supposed to be the audit company about the votes. He said, I want to know, because everywhere we went, we were told that you were the most favorite and popular. How come at the end? He wanted to know. Nobody could give him the data of the audit report of what the voting was, and they said, oh, it's all sourced out from Calcutta somewhere, and that's where it all goes, and that's where it's... So really, I still don't have an answer to that, except I know that there is a lot of manipulation which goes on. I won't blame the channels for it. Honestly, I don't think... Or maybe they are channels who want to promote their own popular stars, whom they are putting in a lot of money for... No, so I cannot make allegations to the channels, because I don't think channels do that really, but it's the people who are on the show who get... otherwise, today it's become very, very manipulated.
So let me understand this. You're saying that the manipulation that takes place is of people that use multiple voting, not a manipulation done by the network. Is that what you're saying?
I would like to believe that. I would like to believe that it's not the channels really who do. It is the people. I mean, I know of a contestant, I don't want to take names here because it's not fair because they are my friends today, who distributed SIM cards in whole area. They said worth lakhs of rupees because people are not, and they told them, okay, it's prepaid for you just, because one SIM card can only give that many. So, I mean, if they think it's worth that much trouble to win it, then they deserve to win, I think. If they're going to take all that trouble to do it.
As I said, people will do anything to win on reality shows.
Pays off.
Excuse me.
Those producers don't survive too long because the numbers have become too big and the market has become too big. And you know, the old days when you could just manipulate things into golden and silver jubilees, those days have gone. But let me end this discussion on reality television only because we have...
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. All right.
I have this question. Why do we need so much melodrama on our reality shows? Like there is MasterChef Australia, which doesn't have so much crying and so much tantrum throwing. But whereas in MasterChef India, there was so much crying. Even if you cut your hand, the ladies were crying like hell. Why do we have so much melodrama on our reality shows?
We Indians are a little emotional.
It's a bit like Bollywood, movies.
Why do people...
Do you want to see your... Do you want to see in the soaps the women looking like they really look when they wake up? I don't think so. Nobody would watch the television then. Let them look pretty.
This one's for... excuse me.
Yes, Rajiv cannot stand you on, by the way, I know that. Rajiv hates you on.
No, I would definitely, as Kabir mentioned, it does affect the way... There was one contestant particularly who I had a very good relationship before I went into the show. I saw a side of that person which really upset me, shocked me to the level they would stoop to be there and win, you know. I think you compromise your integrity, it's not very forgivable after that. Your attitude towards the person changes, definitely.
Thank you very much, Poonam. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm sorry, I have to stop this now. We've cut into the time of the next session by a good 10 minutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please, would Rajalakshmi Rao please come on stage and present mementos to our participants. And a big hand for all of them for sharing their time, their knowledge, their expertise, their experiences, for making this a wonderful forum for discussion of for reality television. So, thank you very much. Could you bring the next memento, please? There you go. Lots of smiles. Great. Next memento, please, Rajalakshmi. Present to our friend Anil Wanwari, who is the walking encyclopedia on the television industry and other forms of social media. Thank you so much for your time.